Welcome to TTM Cast, your sports collectibles podcast.
Sponsored by CGC Cards, card grading all in one place. CGC Cards is devoted to expert grading of collectible cards, including TCGs, sports cards, and non-sports cards.
And by sportscollectorsdaily.com. If it happens in the hobby, you'll find it on sportscollectorsdaily.com. And sponsored by GemRate.com. The latest grading statistic from the 4 major grading companies is just a click away. Visit GemRate.com. It's free.
And now, here's our host, Drew Pelto.
Hello, everybody. We're coming to you once again here with TTM Cast, your sports collectibles podcast. It's a place where we talk TTM, cards, autographs, collecting, all sorts of stuff, whatever else comes to our mind along with all that. We're at season number 7. This is episode 6. It's February 8th of 2025, recording this the night of the 7th. So if anything happens overnight, we won't get to that. But this is a nationally ranked sports collectibles podcast. I am Drew Pelto, host of this show. I am joined by Aaron Littleton as the co-host, who is hanging out here with us up a couple hours away. But good to have you on here as always.
It's great to be here.
Well, taking a look around at the world of sports here before we get into things much, of course, we have the Super Bowl coming up this weekend in the matchup that nobody wanted, but this country deserves. So we've got the Chiefs and the Eagles that are going to go at it. I may have asked last week any predictions at all, and I don't remember if I did now or not, but do you have any predictions? Have they changed? If you do, anything like that?
My only rooting interest is against Taylor Swift in American major sports. So,
all right.
So I guess that puts me in the Eagles camp, but not very squarely.
Any plans for watching the game at all? Going to do anything for it or anything?
I don't know. Me and my mom will probably hang out and maybe do some queso dip and chips. That'd be good. Cool. But yeah, other than that, no, pretty modest.
Yeah. Middle of the week, we have the Four Nations tournament starting up, which we're going to talk to Clemente Lisi a little bit about that. Any predictions there? We've got the U.S., Canada, Sweden, and Finland all going at it there in a multi-game series over a few days.
I mean, I gotta go with Team USA. You know, even if they were really bad, I gotta go with Team USA. That is my rooting interest. Go America.
There you go. So obviously I'm pulling for Finland, but I mean, let's be honest, Canada probably should run away with this way that, it's Canada. So they've got everybody. So yeah.
It is their sport, you know.
Right, exactly. Moving into baseball real quick here, a couple things from their free agents. The domino is still falling, and Alex Bregman, pretty much the only big name left now, as Pete Alonso re-signs with the Mets. You get Jack Flaherty going back to the Tigers there, but any thoughts, any guesses on where Bregman's going to end up? I know the Astros increased their offer to him, but it still sounds like they're a ways apart from possibly reaching a kind of a deal there.
I mean, it's just been really interesting to me. So I don't have a rooting interest or a thought about where he's going to land. But what has been really interesting is basically all of these guys playing themselves out of better offers that they could have had. You know, and it's just like, I don't know. It's like there should be some agent firing going on here pretty soon.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, your Rangers aren't going to get him because they already have 67 third baseman on the team right now. So the Guardians, of course, they already have a perennial MVP candidate playing third base. So they're not going to get him. So I'm like, I don't care. Just, pick a team, make up your mind here, dude. So I know if I have to take cards for you to spring training or not. I mean, that's all I'm at this point now with him. So yeah.
All right, Bregman, go to Florida.
Yes. Go to one of the Florida teams. I don't care which one. Just stay away from here. But yeah. Either way, if he doesn't sign anywhere, I'm still carrying my Heritage cards with me just in case, because they're set cards. I need them done. So you never know. Funny quote here from Rob Manfred the other day. He has said, I guess he was somehow asked about this. He said, no, the Dodgers are not ruining baseball.
That's because he's doing it himself.
I'm sure I'll say more about that once we get into the Vern Rapp minute, as there is a death in there that can go along with my thoughts on that. So, yeah, we'll definitely have some more on that, I'm sure, later on in the show. But lastly, just announced today, I believe, the Football Hall of Fame class for the upcoming year. They've made it a little bit harder for players to get into the Hall of Fame. Only 4 getting in this year with Sterling Sharp, Antonio Gates, Eric Allen, and Jared Allen. So a few guys right there that were right in my wheelhouse there with, Sharp and Eric Allen both being rookies in the late 80s and playing on through the 90s there. And Sterling Sharp is long overdue. I thought he should have been in years ago, but definitely glad to see those 4 guys getting in.
Antonio Gates. Yeah, that's a name that I definitely remember. Obviously with the Chargers and stuff. That was a guy that we try to get on our team for, whatever Madden 05 or whatever year it was. So yeah, he was a beast, but yeah, limited football knowledge I have.
It's all good. It's all good. Well, taking a look at what we've done this week, I've added a few things into the collection here. I got to show these off. Unfortunately, listeners, you won't be able to see these as we talk about them. But if you want, you can check them out on my website once I get the scans posted up, which I will try to do at some point here this week. But made a big trade with Stu Clark out in Massachusetts, and got, what is this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cards for my 03 through 05 Topps all-time fan favorite sets, and including right there, we've got the Phil Necro from the set.
Nice.
Got a Whitey Ford for it as well. Side ballpoint pen there, but you can see it hopefully there. Let's see here. We've got Mike Scott, nice big blue Sharpie sig there, so easy to see his at least, fortunately. Picked up the Herb Score as well. Very happy to get that one. My only Herb Score autograph was on a ball that I got when I was about 13 years old, and it has bled and faded so badly you can't even tell that it's signed anymore. So getting him on that card definitely helps that out. And I mean, finally getting the Bob Feller there, the second Bob Feller that I needed as well. So picked up all of those in one trade. Very happy to get those in, and chips a little bit more away at those 3 sets right there. So tomorrow, or I guess today as the show goes online, I'm going to be going out to another one of those Rangers trade night events that the Rangers Facebook memorabilia group on Facebook is running. So hopefully I'll be able to trade some stuff there and see what else I come up with. I know our friend Terry is going to be out there as well, so might see if I can swing a few deals with him if he's got anything that I need. So we'll see what happens out there, and I'm sure I'll have some stuff to talk about there next week. Aaron, any pickups for you? What do you got coming in this week that you've found?
So I also got an invite to the trade night. Unfortunately, it's a little harder for me to swing some of the time. I'm gonna make one though. One of these times, I'll have to talk to Chris, who's one of the guys that I guess organizes it. Is a friend of mine, and so I'll have to talk to him, see if he can swing it on a Saturday. I might actually be in town. But yeah, so I actually did quite a bit of Michael Young hunting this week, and I got the big one, and this is going to tell you about the state of the hobby in 2005, because I got a quad autograph, and I'd never even seen this card before. Apparently it's not serial number, but apparently the print run is 50, and I'd never seen any of these cards from this set, but it was from 2005 Donruss Signature, and so it's 2 autos on the front, and then you flip it over as 2 autos on the back. And the big 4 that the Rangers had in 2005, so Michael Young is obviously one of them, or I wouldn't have been buying it. Alfonso Soriano, Mark Teixeira, and, are you ready? Drum roll. David DeLucci.
Double deuce, double D. Oh my God.
Yeah, and so I hadn't seen, and I was laughing to myself as I was bidding on this card, because I was like, man, David DeLucci. The thing that I remember about David DeLucci, other than he actually had some pretty good years with the Rangers, but he would stop and sign at the tunnel when he was playing in Arlington, and the grip on his steering wheel was like baseball stitches, and I just thought that was the coolest thing in the world. And so anytime I think about David DeLucci, I think about that. And then I also did finally get my first few. My mail has been fixed, yay! And so basically all of the variations of the 2024 archive set, the first few that I bought are now in, and they're actually pretty cool.
Nice. So there you go. Both of us come up with some stuff there, and hopefully have more to talk about next week as well. As like I said, I've got the Rangers event going on. I know you're always looking for more Michael Young stuff and whatever else you may come across. So yeah, hopefully the mail keeps on rolling in and whatever other deals. Well, coming up this week on the show, we have Clemente Lisi joining us, talking some hockey in there mostly, as we talk about the PWHL, the Women's Hockey League, and how their cards have been just exploding here since they came out only a couple weeks ago. Let's talk about the upcoming Four Nations tournament as well. There, and I just touched on a moment ago. And around that, we, of course, have all of our regular segments with Baker's Dozen, covering all the news stories from the previous week, a lot of releases, a lot of upcoming shows. We have Clemente's World that I mentioned. We'll be talking with Clemente Lisi before we go into Making the Grade, covering all things from the world of grading. You get the TTM Cast Stamp of Approval, where we give our thumbs up to anything from the previous week. Sometimes collectibles and sports related. Most of the time it's not. You'll just have to wait and see what it's going to be this week. We have the Vern Rat Minute, covering deaths in the world of the anybody you might consider TTMing. If they've passed away, we'll try to let you know about it. And, of course, what's the main reason why we all are here? It is our TTM Returns to finish out the show. If you'd like to get a hold of us, what's the best way, Aaron, for people to do so?
That email address is ttmcast@yahoo.com.
There you go. So if you have any questions, any comments, anything like that, go ahead and send it to us on over there. You can also follow us on Twitter at CastTTM. You can also find us on Blue Sky and Instagram at TTMcast. If you want to get a hold of one of the two of us directly, you can find me on my website at dfwgrapher.com. I'll get those scans of those autographs posted up here very soon this week. You can also follow me on Twitter and Blue Sky and Instagram and pretty much anywhere else at dfwgrapher. Aaron, where can the people find you?
All right, so mostly on Instagram is where I keep the pictures of my cards and stuff like that. My main account is Aaron Sports Card Explosion on Instagram, as if that is one word. Aaron is spelled ARRON because my parents decided to do that. And then you can also follow me also on Instagram at the Eternal Graphing Tour with underscores between each of those words. If you want to see my quest to visit every affiliated ballpark in the land, in America and in Canada. I'm up to 80, and I've already planned my trip for this year. We're going to be going as far north as Maryland. We're going to be spending some time in the Carolinas. So, yeah, if you want to follow that and see all the crazy food that I'm eating and get a head start on mine and Drew's 2026 national trip, you can follow me there, the Eternal Graphing Tour on Instagram.
Eat some crab cakes, for sure.
I'll see what I can do.
Well, there you go. We've got ourselves an intro. Let's go ahead and move on into Baker's Dozen.
Baker's Dozen, sponsored by SportsCollectorsDaily.com.
Smart collectors turn to Sports Collectors Daily to stay up to date. From new releases to incredible collections hitting the auction block, news from inside the business of sports collectibles, and much more, Sports Collectors Daily has it, all with no subscription cost. SC Daily also delivers a live look at the most watched sports card auctions on eBay for every sport. Sign up to get the headlines in your email for free, or just visit the website whenever you like. With 16,000 stories in the archive going back 16 years, there's always plenty to read at SportsCollectorsDaily.com.
Baker's Dozen is a summary of all things in the collectibles world. All kind of news from the previous week, but we want to remind you, first off, go and check out SportsCollectorsDaily.com. They've been a big supporter of the show, and I write an article for them every week. This one is talking about what percentage of TTM autographs are legitimate, which ones are good, which ones are not, and gets a little bit into how to spot some that aren't good and some of the well-known fake signers that are out there among TTMers. So go check it out, SportsCollectorsDaily.com. Also, we want to remind you to check out the TTM Cast store, ttmcast.com, top banner. Click on the store link. Get yourself a shirt, a hat, a hoodie. We got a whole bunch of stuff on there. We actually have just sold 2 T-shirts this past week, which I think sets a sales record for us for a single week in the TTM Cast store. So thank you to our 2 buyers that are out there, and to all of you who haven't bought anything, please buy something, please. Go check it out, ttmcast.com. Look at some hobby news here. Back by popular demand, Topps is again putting memorabilia redemption cards into their 2025 Series 1 boxes. They did that, I believe, late last season. I think it was in Update and possibly in Series 2 as well. However, this year, those redemptions are only going to be found in the $30 blaster boxes that are sold at fanatics.com. You won't be able to find those in regular hobby boxes or in-store blasters or jumbos or anything else like that. So if you want a chance of winning some signed memorabilia courtesy of Topps and Fanatics, you'll have to buy it on the blasters from Fanatics. Chance of pulling one of those, though, 1 in 261 boxes. So the odds are pretty stacked against you on any of that. Aaron, you planning on buying any of the Top Series 1 stuff when it comes out?
I don't know. It depends. I mean, I'm sure I probably will, just for graphing purposes at some point this year. But yeah, I mean, maybe somebody will win some signed memorabilia. That would be a good thing for them.
Absolutely. I've got a jumbo box heading my way. Hopefully it'll be getting shipped out soon, and hopefully it gets to me before I go leaving on the 19th. So keep my fingers crossed on that. Well, speaking of which, let's take a look at those new releases, led off by 2025 Top Series 1 Baseball. February 12th is the release date on that officially. So if everything ships the day that it's released, then I've got about a week for it to get here. Hopefully it does so. But if you want to take a look at what they've got there, the hobby boxes are going to be 12 cards per pack with 20 packs per box. Put the wrong number down there, but I think it's, 12 and 20. You'll get one auto or relic guaranteed in there. The pre-sale price on hobby is $100. Jumbo boxes, you'll see 40 cards per pack with 10 packs per box, 3 hits per box, including one autograph. Pre-sale price on that is $200.
Also dropping on February the 12th, we have 2024 Panini 3-in-2 Baseball. You'll get 5 cards per pack, 1 pack per box, 1 autograph, 1 memorabilia, 3 inserts or parallels per box. And the pre-sale price for that is $250.
Got some other Panini releases coming out on the 12th as well. Panini Prism WNBA. Definitely capitalizing on the popularity of Caitlin Clark. That is a highly anticipated set that's coming out right there. 2 autographs and 24 prisms in every box, along with 10 other inserts. Pre-sale price, hold on to your hats for this one, $1,350.
I would love to see the prices of the Clark autographs versus almost anybody else in that set. I mean, I feel like that's obviously who you're chasing. You know, maybe Ada Reese or a few others, but I mean, for the most part, it's Clark and then everybody else.
Yeah.
And then we also have 2023 Upper Deck Halo Legacy that drops on February 12th. You'll get 6 cards per pack, 20 packs per box. Autos and parallels randomly inserted will be randomly inserted, and the pre-sale price is $150.
Moving on to some hockey here, also coming from Upper Deck. We've got the Upper Deck Allure Hockey Set, the 2024-25 set. February 12th, the release date on that one as well. 8 cards per pack with 8 packs per box, 64 cards total per box for the non-mathematically inclined out there. In there, you're guaranteed 1 auto or doubloons card. Not sure what that is. I haven't really looked too heavily into this, but it sounds intriguing at least. Also, 2 printing plates in every box as well. Pre-sale price there, a very affordable $115.
They went down to Davy Jones' locker and got some doubloons.
Yeah. Apparently so, yeah.
Oh, man.
It's when the ice melts away, you can finally, dive in there and get down to there. Yeah.
I guess so. Then we will also have 2024 Topps Chrome McDonald's All-American Basketball on February 13th. There'll be 15 cards per pack, 4 packs per box, 3 autographs, and 1 McDonald's logo parallel. That's a very interesting set of words there. 1 McDonald's logo parallel per box, and the pre-sale price for that is $200.
Little non-sports here. We mentioned the Halo set earlier on. We've also got the 2024 Leaf History Book, Pop Culture Edition, Chapter 1. There's a mouthful right there. But that offering from Leaf is coming out on February the 14th. You get 2 cards per box, and they are all autographed booklets numbered to 25 or less. Some of those I saw previews of, and they've got like 8 autographs potentially inside some of those booklets there. So lots of really cool stuff going on right there in all sorts of pop cultural areas. A lot of movie stuff that I know was in there that I saw. Pre-sale price on that, I believe, is going to run $360.
There you go. I mean, I guess it's a long name, but I guess it's aptly named. History book and auto booklets galore. There you go.
Yeah.
And finally, we have 2024 Topps Finest UFC that drops on February 14th. You'll get 10 cards per pack, 6 packs per box, 2 autos, 2 refractors, 2 rare base. That's an interesting combination right there. 2 rare base, 4 inserts per box, and the pre-sale price is $170.
Well, if any of those interest you, go and check out a local show in your area. See if you can find some of those out there, and I bet you'll be able to. A couple of them we want to highlight here. We've got the Southern California Winter Show. It's on the 22nd and 23rd of February. It's held at the Frank and Son Collectible Show building in City of Industry, California. Free admission to this show, so already a great deal to start off right there, but they're going to have 20 signers out at this thing, including Bo Jackson, Rod Woodson, Randy Johnson, and Vlad Guerrero, along with a whole bunch more. If you want to get info on autograph tickets for that, go and check out ShowClix, that is CLIX.com.
There's also the Mansfield Show going on from February 22nd to the 23rd at the Envision Hotel in Mansfield, Massachusetts. Admission is only $3, and Tim Thomas will be signing $45 for cards and $49 for all other things. And for more information about that, you can check out cardboardpromotions.com.
One of the best things I can remember was getting Tim Thomas to sign at a Stars practice one day. It was me and one other guy waiting back, and I said, "Hey, Tim, do you have time to sign?" And he kind of stops, looks at his watch, looks back at us and says, "Yes, I do," and comes over and signs.
Thank you for being very literal.
Yes, he took. Yeah, it worked out. I mean, I'm not complaining. He signed my puck, put 2x Vezina on it. I'm happy with that. Came out pretty good. Well, anytime that I can name drop my hometown, I'm going to do so. And we have the Concord Show on February 23rd at the Concord Township Community Center in Paynesville, Ohio. That is right. This is the first time that my hometown has actually gotten mentioned on the show calendar here. So super excited to get to mention that one. Free admission to the show, 40 tables at it. Unfortunately, no signers, but for God's sake, my hometown is on a show on here. I have to mention that in there. So if you're in that area, Northeast Ohio, go and check out the Concord Show on February 23rd.
I'm surprised that wasn't the first read we had today.
Considered it, but I figure there's no signers. I kind of had to bury it a little bit. So
okay, all right, they'll have to step up their game a little bit. They can be number one next time. And so, just in time for Valentine's Day, or I guess this will be a little bit after Valentine's Day, but the Chocolate Expo will be going on February 23rd at Bally's Dover Casino Resort. That's in Delaware. And Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory cast will be signing autographs, and the prices start at $40. The Chocolate Expo, which sounds like something very romantic, it's just to take your partner to. The Chocolate Expo, you can check out thechocolateexpo.com for more information.
There you go. Yeah, I think it's like 4 members of the cast are going to be there, including 3 of the kids and one of the Oompa Loompas. So it's like, all right, that's a solid group right there for sure. Well, once again, if you have a chance, go and check out one of those shows near you. As right now, let's go ahead and venture on into Clemente's world.
You know what that means. It's time for Clemente's World.
Clemente Lisi joins us to talk some hockey. Let's go ahead and do so. Well, it's the first show of the month, or at least first show after we've had a full week, so it's time for Clemente's World, as we are joined by Clemente Lisi. Got a whole lot of hockey to talk here, we're right in the middle of the season, therefore, and everything. But first off, as always, Clemente, good to have you back on the show here.
Great to be back.
So we've got the first time that we're ever going to do this, the Four Nations Face-Off. We've had, of course, the World Cup of Hockey before, which takes place in the off season, so, a little different. We've had different all-star festivities that have gone on. We've had, Olympics that go and plays the all-star game a few times. This is the first time, though, for the Four Nations Face-Off. This is interesting that U.S., Canada, Sweden, and Finland all going at it in a tournament over a few days there. So definitely interested in seeing what happens with this.
Yeah, no, kudos to the NHL. When they announced this last show, I was pretty happy because it's something innovative, which the NHL is often afraid to do. And so from February 12th to the 20th, across several cities in North America, you'll have the Four Nations competing, kind of round robin. It has NHLers on it. This is not an IIHL tournament. This is a NHL creation, if you want to put it that way. And it replaces the All-Star game. It's kind of a dress rehearsal for the Olympics in that the league will be kind of inactive for about 10 days in the middle of February next year. So it's a dress rehearsal for that. And also, I think it gets people excited about national teams. And we're so used to seeing amateurs play at this level to be able to see, international competition. I know you and I are both big fans of that, and not just in hockey, but soccer and across many sports, rugby, whatever, cricket, name the sport. So I think it's going to get people interested, even if you're not someone who watches hockey normally. USA Canada, USA Finland, you're going to watch that, and I think it's super exciting. I think it's going to be great.
It's I mean, it's almost like a flashback a little bit to when they did the All-Star game in the I think it was the early 2000s of Team North America versus Team World, but now, breaking it up a little bit further than that. So I was never a big fan of that format, but now that's broken up a little bit further, it's like, all right, I can get behind this, I think, now this time. So definitely interested in I'll be checking that out as much as I can for sure.
The only caveat is that, there's already kind of friendly banter between these players that I think these games are going to be competitive. Now, hopefully nobody gets hurt. I think a lot of GMs and a lot of teams are probably worried about how seriously will they take it. It's one thing to play one All-Star game or a one-off day and kind of goof around, as opposed to like, hey, this can get competitive. So we'll see what happens. But look, I'm here for it. The other thing too is for collectors is Fanatics has created all this apparel, all these jerseys, all these signed pucks, all this memorabilia attached to this tournament. So if you go to fanatics.com, you can, it's pretty steep prices, but really beautiful stuff. And so if you're interested in owning a piece of this in a way, you can do that.
It also kind of helps out TTMers a little bit right now too, because if there's a player that you want to send to who's not playing in this, that little time off right there might give them some time to start hitting the mail. So it might be good to get a couple requests out there if you haven't already.
That's a good thing too. Yeah, now that the mail is back in Canada, I would definitely recommend that for Canadian players, the ones based there, and also for the American ones, because there will be a bit of a time off here. And I'm sure the teams will practice and do other things, but I'm sure there's a bit of a break here for the many players who are not playing in this tournament. So that's for sure.
I already had one friend say, "Hey, can you look up like assistant coaches of teams who sign through the mail and see if I can send them?" I'm like, yeah, sure, why not? So that's where we're leaning toward on that one for this.
Yeah, even head coaches who are former players who have cards, it's a good time to do that for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. Any predictions on who you think is going to win it?
It's gonna be interesting. I think Team USA looks really good. So I'm hoping they can win it. But ultimately Canada's probably the favorite here. I mean, Canada has the most NHLers, so they have the deepest roster pool to choose from. Right. Be curious to see how some of those players do, including Bedard is on the Team Canada. But look, it's 4 teams and all NHLers, so it's going to be very even in that way. And so very competitive. I think it's going to be really good, but maybe a USA, Canada, in the end, that would be the best, kind of competition. I know you're going to be rooting for Team Finland whenever you get a chance. And when I saw the Team Finland merchandise, I thought of you. So, maybe you have to get a Finland hoodie for the occasion or a hat, it'll be cool.
I do need to upgrade my Finland hat. I mean, I've had the same one since 1997, I think. So, it's getting a little bit ratty right now.
Yeah, no, and the merchandise reminded me a little bit of the World Baseball Classic merch, which was very popular and sold out very quickly. I know when I was in New York, I went to the MLB store and they were like, oh, it was all gone like in a day. I was like, okay. So I think it'll be good for the marketing part. And I think the NHL needs all the help it can get sometimes. Sometimes it feels like it's the 5th most popular sport in North America. Sometimes number 6 if you're counting soccer and golf and MMA. And so I think this is kind of a breakthrough moment for them. And I think they'll take advantage of it. So I'm happy about that.
Speaking of breakthrough moments, PWHL cards have hit the market and very popular here as they've just come out, which is definitely good to see.
Yeah, so I wrote a piece for Puck Junk about that they're very popular. I'm really happy about that. Like the fact that you can't get a box is something that I'm actually happy about, because it means that, it's something that finally it's arrived. And women's hockey is a thing that not just in terms of fans, but also among collectors. And look, we've seen a growth in women's sports over the last year with Caitlin Clark and others. So we're going in this direction, which is great. Now, I think the Upper Deck just didn't produce a lot of this stuff because they probably didn't want to get stuck with it. Right. And it turned out to be such a hot item that boxes that were going for $75 to $80 to $100 are going for $200 and even more now on eBay. So that's great. I mean, it's great that the fact that the first ever female Young Guns are out there, and I think it's wonderful. Now, I know there's a lot of, oh, I can't get my hands on this box. I have to spend a lot of money on this box. But you know what? Next year, when Upper Deck produces yet another set and maybe more sets at this point, maybe they'll produce more of it and they realize, hey, you know what? There's a market for women's hockey cards, and that's great. I think it caught everyone by surprise. I mean, the product came out on January 22nd. For about the first 3-4 days, it was kind of just fine. And then all of a sudden, there was all this chatter, like in Reddit posts and on social media and on eBay, where all of a sudden prices started ballooning. And so, I think there's a few theories out there. Like I mentioned, I think they produce a lot of it, which is fine. It's scarcer. They weren't going to produce as much as they do with Upper Deck Series 1 NHL because that audience is much larger. And then the other thing, too, I think people are sitting on boxes. I think people bought boxes and stowed them away and thought, hey, you know what? This could be a collector's item one day, maybe the inaugural set. People will want to get their hands on this. Now, if you're looking just for the base cards, there's 50 base cards, and you can get those on eBay for between $25 to $50. That price will come down. And then the other 20 sure prints are the Young Guns, and those are harder to find. And those are going for 30, 40, 50, 100, whatever dollars. And so it's to build the base set is pretty easy. You can, you can get one out of one box because there are only 2 types of inserts, so it's very small. And then the Young Guns, it's only 4 per box, and they only created hobby boxes. There's no retail, there's no blasters, there's nothing. So that's the other thing too, is they haven't given collectors a lot of options. I think this is a total Upper Deck trial balloon, a test. And look, it's been they've passed. So I'm glad about that, and I think next year even better.
Do you think there will ever be a chance that we'll see like multiple brands coming out of Upper Deck for the PWHL? Could we see an MVP set, an OPG set, anything like that in the upcoming years?
Yeah, I totally think so. Now MVP is low end, so maybe,
right?
But something like OPG for sure. I mean, like I don't see why not. I mean, the NHL has how many sets a year? 30, 40, something like that. Some case it feels that way, and so yeah, I think definitely they could make it more sets and create more rookies. And there's a lot of hot rookies coming into the league. They're averaging 10, 15,000 fans. It's great. I mean, if you haven't watched the game, they stream them all on YouTube. They have their own YouTube channel, and they stream the games. They're also on local TV in the various markets, and I think it's only just more positive room for growth in the future. And they can only go up at this point, which I think is wonderful. I think it's great. And women's hockey has been relegated just to watching the Olympics or watching tournaments. Right. But never to be able to watch your local team. And so I think it's great. And I really am excited about it. And I have a daughter. And so that's always fun to see, women's sports do well. I've seen it with soccer. We've seen it with basketball. And now we're seeing it with hockey. It's about time.
10 to 15,000 fans tonight. They're outdrawing then most AHL teams there. So that's, when you're outdrawing those and challenging some NHL numbers, that's pretty good right there for sure.
Oh, yeah. No, they're definitely getting a lot of people in the building now, in terms of TV contracts and ratings, that's something that needs to grow over time. Obviously, that isn't, doesn't have mass appeal. The people that are into it are going to it, but they may be limited to that. But I'm happy to see the collecting pool has recognized, hey, you know what? This is an interesting product. It's something new, and they gobbled it up, which I think, like I said, caught everyone by surprise. But it's a good surprise.
Yeah. Moving back as we pivot back to the NHL a bit here. Got a new hot rookie to keep an eye out for. And I got to say, when you mentioned him and when we were doing show prep here, I knew nothing about him. I had to go and look up his numbers and everything. And like, who is this guy? But Lane Hutson taking things by storm right now from the Montreal Canadiens.
Yeah, he's not on a great team, but Lane Hutson is put some good numbers. And his Young Guns card has climbed steadily since December. And, in Raw, it's up $125. A raw version of the card, and then in the PSA 10 we're talking about $550. So this is expensive. Like, this is getting higher and higher. I actually opened the box of Series 1 and pulled him, but without really knowing, like, oh yeah, I should put him aside because he's promising. But I never imagined that the card would go up at this point. Now, the smart person would just sell at this point because who knows what will happen. But it's good to see that the league is moving a little bit away from Bedard and towards the PWHL, and in this case, other hot rookies in the league like Lane Hutson, that there's more to the hockey hobby than just Connor Bedard. And so, yeah, I was surprised when I saw the data too, but it was around New Year's when I was looking at some of the hot rookies, and then realized, oh wow, this is he's selling for a lot of money. And on eBay, it's very popular, not just the Young Guns base card, but all the parallels that go with it. So I was a little surprised by it as well. But like I said, I'm glad that, people have the chance to diversify their collecting a little bit and chase other rookies. And then this has made Series 1 kind of a hot box at this point, a hot property. Of course, Series 2 hockey comes out in the middle of March, so we're about 5-6 weeks away from that. And everyone's going to be looking for Macklin Celebrini, who's actually having a really good year. Also on about a good team, the Sharks. So this is what happens when you have high draft picks on teams that are rebuilding. But like I said, Bedard's in year 2 and he's still in rebuilding mode. So
yeah, I mean, it helps that it's Montreal. It's, even though they're not a good team, they're still a hobby crazed city. 20-some Stanley Cups are going to speak for a long time right there. So, I mean, they've always got that kind of following. But this is also kind of evidence that you should keep an eye out on guys no matter where they're picked. Because, I mean, yeah, the Celebrinis of the world go number 1 overall. The Bedards of the world at number 1 overall. This kid was a second-round pick. I mean, that's not exactly highly heralded right there or anything like that. And not only that, this was a second-round pick 2 years ago. This is the 2022 draft that he was taken there. So you never know where the next big guy might come from.
yeah, he played a little bit last year, but didn't have enough games to qualify as a rookie. Yeah, exactly. You just never know. But like you said, Montreal, original 6 franchise, hockey craze city, a lot of collectors. I mean, yeah, it's a natural that it would make sense that that a player who does well and breaks through in that kind of market will then do even better in terms of the market for sure.
So with that, you mentioned that you were able to find one of those. You've gotten one out of your box. What other kind of cool pickups have you had here lately for your collection and such? Anything cool you found?
So I went to the Winter Extravaganza White Plains show. That was in January. I didn't go on Saturday. Saturday was very busy. Sunday I went. It was less busy because of all the playoff football games. So around 2:00, it pretty much emptied out. But I was there for the double signing of Hall and Oates, the poster, which I did get. And so it's not for me. It's for our friend Sal Barry, who put in a request. I was like, look, I'm going to the show anyway. So I think for $79, you got the poster, and both of them signed it, and it was great. And I said to Brett Hull, I said, hey, I really love this poster. It's like the greatest poster of all time. And he goes, yeah, you like a kid, don't you? I was like, sure. And he's looking more and more like his dad every day, I feel. So it's kind of funny. And both very, very nice. I also got Adam Oates on a 91 Bowman card. If you can see that.
Yes. Nice.
I never had him. I never had his autograph. And so I thought for $30 that was worth it. And that was
absolutely
good. TTM, I was able to get former Dodger Pete Reichert. He signed.
Oh, yeah.
I know I've got a little blur here.
I got 72 there. I can at least see through the blur. That's a 72 there. So it's like,
the one thing, the one thing that really kind of this rarely happens, but there was a minor smudge on it.
Oh yeah.
But I'll take it. What are you gonna do? And some of these, like I said, some of these 70s players, they're getting up there in age. So I'm glad to be able to get there. And then out of a binder that one of the tables had, they had a binders full of signed cards. By the way, I never saw so many Kelly Kissio Sharks cards in one binder in my life. But anyways, I was able to pick up, interestingly enough, I love these cards, and we never spoke about these. I'm sure you know about them, but I picked up a 1990 Pacific Legends card. Whenever I get to see this set, I always pick it up, and this was Al Rosen.
Yes.
Okay, so now there's a lot of former major leaguers, like legends, that are in this set, and whenever I see an autograph from that set, I always pick it up because I always think, okay, you know what? These guys are either passed away, and look, it was $5, so you can't go wrong with $5. And then I was there with my friend. One of my friends was with me, and we just happened to be talking about earlier in the day. We were talking about the infamous Jim Everett, Jim Rome interview.
Yep,
where he called them Chrissy. And actually, a side note: Leaf recently made a double auto card of both of them. Okay.
Oh yeah.
And if you're interested in infamous television journalism, sports moments in history, go on YouTube, find that. But also, they made a double auto card. But I did see a 1990 Pro Set Jim Everett card.
Oh, nice.
Now, for $5, I was like, okay, I don't have him, and I Googled it. It looked like a legit autograph, and so I bought that, and that was my pickup for the show. It was fun. It's always good to get junk wax cards that are signed. That's my thing. So always enjoy that.
I'll tell you, if you ever get a chance, if you see a card show that a guy named W.R. George is at, you could probably spend hours, maybe even a full day at his table. It's all like so much junk wax there. Stuff, some of it goes back in the 60s even, but a lot of junk wax 80s and 90s stuff all signed there. All baseball, but is broken down perfectly by team, by player, everything. It's so easy to go through, but it's an absolute like picker's paradise there if you just want to sit there and look through signed junk wax for hours on end. So if you ever see him out at a show, definitely go and check him out for sure.
No, it's a good recommendation. It's funny now that when I go, the more and more I go to shows, the more I realize that like, yeah, the stuff in the showcases that goes for hundreds of dollars is fun to look at and fancy, but a lot of cases just so out of my price point. But it's fun to go digging and finding these little things that like, hey, I walked away from the show with, $10. I spent $10. I had a great time. I got some autographs. And I think that's what it's really all about. Now, I do have this thing that I never mentioned to you, I think, but other people know this about me. I can't go to a show without buying at least something.
Yeah.
And so even if it's $10, like I don't want, I paid to get into the show. I'm not going to leave and not buy anything. But often what I do is my fallback is to buy some unopened wax or something, which is lame. But I didn't do that this time. I'm saving my next wax purchase for the Series 2 Upper Deck Hockey, which is in March, and also Series 1 Baseball, which is coming out around Valentine's Day, I think, so soon.
Yep.
So looking forward to that as well. But otherwise, that's what I pick up for January, February, and then as we get closer to the national, it's time to save money.
Yep. I actually just bought up a jumbo box of Series 1 Topps Baseball, so fingers crossed it'll get here before I go out to Arizona, but we'll see what happens there. But I'm totally with you on, finding a junk wax or something like that. My favorite thing lately has been if you find like random like Topps or Score Fleer update sets. So many times I found those at a card show like, oh, hey, $5 for the 89, 90 Fleer or something like that. I'm like, it's a Frank Thomas rookie card in there. I'll gladly take that. There's, several TTMers in there that it's cards that I'm sure these guys don't really see that often because, the regular 90 Fleer set, I'm sure everybody's got some of that somewhere in their collection. Not so many people have the update sets quite as much. So it's really kind of, cool to get those. And it's like, all right, something kind of different I can send out and get signed TTM or signed in person somewhere. And it's always fun to find those.
Yeah, exactly. No, I always looking for fodder, right? And so that's always good. So yeah, no, I'm with you. And I think that's often undervalued in the sense that, not undervalued means cheap, but I'm saying it's an undervalued thing that collectors often don't go to. And I think that's easy to do and totally worth it. And because what else are you going to send? I mean, people get baseballs autographed and photos, but I just love having these signed cards in a binder or like in a display because they're small. And like people like us, we have so many of these signed cards. If these were photos or baseballs or footballs, forget it. I wouldn't have any room in my house. So it is a much cheaper option and also easier. And also in the mail, it's so much easier.
Absolutely. Well, Clemente, we'll definitely have you on next month as once I get back from spring training, we'll be past the Four Nations face-off, so I'm sure we'll get a recap of that and whatever else we come up with. It's, getting into March at that point, almost into baseball season. We've got playoffs coming around the corner, trading deadline. I'm sure we'll come up with some good stuff on all that.
Yeah, we've also preview Upper Deck Series 2, which I think we'll probably have a checklist by.
That'll definitely be good. So there you go. Clemente, any thoughts before we move on with the show here?
No, I want to wish everyone a good rest of the month, a good Valentine's Day to everyone. Enjoy spring training. I'm jealous. It's been very cold here in New York the last couple of weeks, so I'm jealous of that. But otherwise, I hope to see everyone in March.
We'll have you back on then, and we'll be talking more here from Clemente's World. All right, a big thanks to Clemente Lisi once again joining us here as he does the first week of each month to talk about all kinds of things, collectibles, but typically a lot of stuff on soccer and hockey. So once again, covered some hockey here. We'll have him back on again in March, probably just in time for the NHL's trading deadline. So I'm sure we'll be talking a lot about that and playoff implications as the teams come down the home stretch there in the NHL. Right now, let's move on into Making the Grade.
Making the Grade is sponsored by CGC Cards. all card grading, all in one place. Certified Guarantee Company, CGC, devoted to the expert grading of collectible cards. Visit cgccards.com today.
Making the Grade is a summary of all things grading in the collectibles world. We've got numbers here. We've got a lot of numbers. Aaron, what are the numbers here for the previous week?
All right, so for the week from January 27th to February the 2nd, PSA graded 327.4 thousand cards. That's up 23% from the previous week. CGC graded 77.1 thousand cards, up 4%. SGC graded 44.3 thousand cards, which is up 25%. And Beckett graded 12.3 thousand cards, which is down 34%. All in all, there was a total of 461.1 thousand cards graded the week of January 27th through February 2nd.
I'm still amazed. I think that might be the biggest number I've seen as a total here. And it may have been one that was like 480 or something like that. But anytime I see anything above like 450, it's like, how is this possible? And well, apparently somehow is. This is crazy though. So yeah.
Slinging slabs all over the place down there.
Yeah, exactly. So once again, a big thanks to GemRate for providing those numbers. You can find them at GemRate on most social media. But here's some numbers you can only find here on TTM Cast. It's the Big Three.
This week's Big Three is brought to you by GemRate.com. Whose cards are hot and whose cards are cold this week? Let's find out from our friends at GemRate.com.
The Big Three comes to us from GemRate. You'll find it nowhere but here. It gives a chance to look at some individual players' trends in the grading world, and even sometimes down to the individual card as well. This week, the Big Three that have been moving up the charts, getting a lot of stuff graded. We have Emmitt Smith topping the list, 89% increase over last week in his grading numbers. Coming in second, a quick venture into the soccer world as Cristiano Ronaldo is up 57%. And bring up the third place spot here for the week, the Cleveland Heights native Travis Kelce up 41%. Duke guard Cooper Flagg came up just short of the Big Three this week, but his Bowman U Now base card, number 1 in that set, was the week's third most graded card. So definitely a name that's worth keeping an eye on here over the next few weeks, see if he finds himself in the Big Three here eventually, and I'm sure he will. I mean, if he doesn't make it right now in the next couple of weeks, he will once the draft rolls around, I can almost guarantee. Taking a look on the other side, Aaron, who's moving on down the list this time.
All right, so we have Warriors guard Steph Curry, who is down 8%. We have All Rise for going down 10% is Aaron Judge. And then we also have Ja Morant rounding out the falling Big Three, who was down 12%.
There you go. So once again, big thanks to GemRate for providing us all of those exclusive to TTM Cast numbers for the Big Three. You can follow them and find more numbers at GemRate on Instagram and Twitter. You can also see them at GemRate.com if you really want to take a deep dive into some card grading numbers. With that, let's go ahead and move on into this week's TTM Cast Stamp of Approval.
I bet you're wondering who earned this week's TTM Cast Stamp of Approval.
Well, Stamp of Approval is just a chance for us to kind of go off the sports and collectibles path, I guess, here for just a couple of moments here and see what other things we are into. Sometimes we'll still cover those things, but other times we'll get into all kinds of other things. Whatever's on our mind from the previous week, something we found that was kind of cool. And a lot of times mine ends up as something food related, and this time is no exception. As right over here, we find this, I have a great picnic bar. None of you listeners can see it. Aaron, however, can. This is a candy bar that is found only in Australia. It was invented in 1950. The Brits came up with a version in 1958 that is nowhere near as good because for some reason they thought of taking perfection and adding raisins to it, and there's no reason to do that. Nothing needs raisins, ever. Nothing. But a picnic bar has peanuts, a wafer cookie, caramel, and Rice Crisps coated in Cadbury's milk chocolate. It is the greatest candy bar known to humanity, and Ruthie Baker went to Australia and found some and sent them to me, and I have finally gotten them this week. And so I'm going to enjoy this picnic bar with all of you, which means, okay, let's be honest, I'm not enjoying it with you guys. I'm eating it in front of you. So yeah, but that's going to be happening here. And I mean, you look at this thing and as like unwrap it. I think there, if I remember right, there were commercials years ago or something like it was like, called Deliciously Ugly or something like that. And yeah, I mean, look at that thing. That is not a beautiful looking candy bar, but damn it tastes great. Oh my God. I'm going to sit here and eat this. What?
I was going to say, I think that I've seen a few deliciously ugly people before in my life. now that you mention it.
Good night, everybody. That's yeah. Anyways, picnic bar. I stand for approval. I'm going to enjoy the rest of this. Aaron, what's your stamp for approval?
And so for the first thing, I'm surprised there's still one for you to eat on air. I'm surprised you haven't just rifled through all of them already.
Well, I considered it. She got me 7 of them, which is great. So, but I was able to somehow delay myself from eating one until just now because I wanted to have my first one enjoyed right here on the show. And oh my God, it was absolutely worth the wait. And best of all, Belinda from Wanna Shuffle contacted me and said, hey, yeah, if Ruthie's not able to find any, I'm heading down to Australia soon. I can pick some up. We'll organize a trade or something. And she checked in with me the other day and she said, yeah, have they come in yet? And I'm like, yeah, they did. I will gladly take more. I will gladly trade for. She's like, yeah, I got you covered. So I'm going to have a very significant supply of picnic bars thanks to 2 people associated with the show. And oh my God, I am in heaven here for at least a little bit here. So like I said, I'm going to keep on eating this. What's your stamp of approval?
We've got Drew's candy bar trafficking ring going on here. So my stamp of approval is with so few Michael Young releases for me to get excited about in the last decade. I really have kind of enjoyed having the 2024 archives around. And so I've got my first few in, and one of them was the Aqua Sparkle refractor or whatever foil board thing that they have there. And it is fantastic. And I should have got it so I can show it to you, but like the shimmering on it is very good. Like it looks like a very high quality card. And so I've been very impressed with the quality of some of these new cards because, Michael hasn't really had any since like 2015. And so my stamp of approval today is 2024 archives, especially the cool little parallels that Michael has.
I'm sorry, did you say something?
Nothing important.
Right now, there is nothing more important than this freaking picnic bar. I haven't had one in 15 years, all right? Or 14, 11 years. I can't math even right now. I haven't had one in 11 years. Before that, the last time I had one was like 14 years before that. I'm lost in this thing right now. So yeah.
Want me to go ahead and finish the show?
I might need you to. Yeah. All right. That was the last bite. Let's go ahead and move on in now to the Vern Rapp Minute. The Vern Rapp Minute is dedicated to the memory of Mr. Vern Rapp, former Major League manager, minor league ball player. Our show's founder, Jeff Baker, tried to mail off to him, not knowing that he'd already passed away. And so we provide this as a service to all of the TTMers out there to try to let you know when somebody has passed away in the world of movies, music, sports, politics. Anybody you might consider TTMing, any celebrities like that, we'll try to let you know when they passed away. I kind of briefly alluded to this one earlier on in the show during our sports news and stuff segment, but Fay Vincent died this week. He was Major League Baseball's commissioner from 1989 to 1992, and in my opinion, he was the last really good commissioner that baseball had, and he didn't really get a fair shake. The owners voted him out after 3 years or so, gave him an 18-9 vote of no confidence, basically forcing his resignation. But in that short time, he presided over the lifetime suspensions handed out to George Steinbrenner and, Steve Howe. Also, the 1989 World Series with the 10-day delay due to the big earthquake there in San Francisco. He presided over the 1990 lockout, and he's the one who put out the 1991 steroid memo that reminded everybody in baseball, hey, guys, steroids are illegal, and if we catch you with it, you can't be doing this at all. And it went in one ear and out the other, and then was basically completely buried by his follower into the role after that. But yeah, to me, he was the last really great commissioner that we had, and he got kind of screwed over by the owners and never really got a fair shake. I always wonder how baseball would have ended up if he had stayed as commissioner. Would there have been a 1994 strike? How long would it have lasted if there was one? All kinds of stuff related to that. But Fay Vincent was an excellent TTMer. He was 86 years old.
We also lost Don Seacrest this week, who was 80 years old. He was a pitcher from 1969 to 1970 with the Chicago White Sox. He pitched 28 games in his career, had an 0-1 record and a 5.93 ERA. He was an excellent TTMer through May 2024.
We lost Rich Dower this week. Rich was an infielder, mostly playing third and second for the Orioles from 1976 to 1985. After his playing career, he went on to be he was actually the first third base coach I remember for the Cleveland Indians during my time as a fan. He was there at least 1990 and 91. He also went on later to coach for the Royals, the Brewers, the Rockies, and the Astros, along with several minor league teams. Good in-person signer, but not a TTMer. Rich Dower was 72 years old.
We also lost Howard Twilley at the age of 81. He was a wide receiver from 1966 to 1976 with the Miami Dolphins. He was a two-time Super Bowl champion and had 23 career touchdowns, and he was an excellent TTMer.
We also lost Virginia Hallis McCaskey this week. She was the owner of the Chicago Bears, the daughter of George Hallis, took over ownership of the team from him in 1983 when he died. Served as owner all the way up until this past week here. So 1983 to 2025. She was owner of the team when they won Super Bowl 20. She was not a TTMer at all. She was 102 years old.
That is quite a life, 102 years. We also lost Bruce Gossett at the age of 83. He was a kicker with the Rams and the 49ers from 1964 to 1974. He led the NFL in field goals in 1966 and in point after tries in 1967. He was an excellent TTMer.
And lastly, moving into some basketball news, we lost Gary Phillips this week. I forgot to write down his age, unfortunately, but Gary was a guard from 1961 to 66, played for the Boston Celtics and the San Francisco Warriors. He was an NBA champ in 1962, his rookie season, as a member of the Celtics. He was an excellent TTMer through August of 2024. Like I said, I forgot to write down his age, but you check out basketballreference.com. You can find out their age, career info, all that kind of stuff. Well, if you lost anyone this week, our thoughts are certainly with you as we move on now to finish out the show with our TTM returns.
Was our mailbox full this week? Let's take a look at this week's TTM returns.
Well, here we go. We've reached the end, and finally the mail's slowing down a little bit here for me. I mean, we had a couple weeks there where I was in the double digits, and this week I got 2 in. And a couple longer waits on these ones. Joel Otto being one of them, is sent to him up in Canada. Former center for the Flames and the Flyers, maybe a couple other teams in there, but that's the 2 I remember him with the most, at least. Big dude. He had to have been like at least 6'4", 6'5" or so, and 230 or so, but he's been a great TTMer for quite a while. He signed 3 cards for me in the span of about 2 months up to Canada, as once again, the Canada Post strike being over means they're starting to come back now from north of the border. I also got back Eric Ball, former running back for the Cincinnati Bengals. Sent 4 cards off to him. He signed all 4 in about 9 months. I believe that was to a home address in Southern Ohio, if I remember. I think he still lives in the Cincinnati area there. So that's what I've gotten back. Haven't really sent anything out here recently at all, but hopefully we'll get at least a couple more here before for next week's show. And Aaron, what do you got? I see you've got a couple on the list here as well.
Yeah, I actually got some stuff, so yay me. For the first thing, just as a point of fact, I looked up Gary Phillips. And he was 85 years old.
There we go. Thank you.
You're welcome. I'm here to help. So, so I got back former Falcons quarterback Doug Johnson signed 3 of 3 for me, and included in that was the 2002 Upper Deck XL cards. Have you ever seen those?
40 man for football. Oh, yes.
Yes, correct. And so, I collect the 02 40 man, and I'm not really collecting it, at least not yet, as a set for football, but I do enjoy getting them signed. I mean, it's a familiar design, and so when I can pick up a card and try to get some ink on that, that's what I do from that set. And also, I got back former 49ers and Bears defensive tackle Ted Washington, signed 3 of 3 for me, also including a card from the 2002 Upper Deck XL set. And then the last one I got was from a basketball player from that gigantic thing that we got, like lot of cards that we got for $20 at the Dallas Card Show. What's it been, like a year and a half ago, 2 years ago at this point? But yeah, John Konkak. I got him back. He signed 4 of 4 for me this afternoon. So very recent return. So that was my 3 for this week.
It's nice. You're forgetting a team there for Ted Washington. He also did play for the Cleveland Browns for a season or two.
And so he had a bunch of, there's only so much room on this line.
Mm-hmm. All right. I'll give you that.
I guess I could. Yeah, it's like on his Wikipedia page, it lists like 6 or 7 or 8 teams. And so I just had to kind of pick some. And so I picked the teams that were featured on the cards I got signed. So there you go, 49ers and Bears, and also Cleveland Browns.
I actually mentioned him in my article on SCD the other week there when I was covering, trying to do all the NFL teams in as few players as possible. I mean, yeah, he played for like 6-7 teams on theirs. It was like, send to him, get like an index card or something signed, and boom, you've got something to represent, a third of the league or a sixth of the league right there at least. So, yeah.
So I was happy to add that one.
Absolutely. Well, there you go. So, fortunately, the mailboxes are not empty. Hopefully, it'll keep on rolling into next week there and limp my way to spring training when we're probably going to take at least a week or maybe 2 off from the show. Not really sure yet. I mean, I might try to do some updates while I'm out there, and I'm thinking about possibly bringing back the YouTube channel while I'm there. So we'll see what happens. We'll come with something to cover in that time at the very least. But that about brings us to the end of the show here. Aaron, any other final thoughts before we go ahead and sign off for this one?
Yeah, it was fun. I enjoy doing the show, so thank you for letting me. But yeah, so it's always fun and always cool talking about, the hobby that we love so much. And so, yeah, if check me out on Instagram, and also I do another podcast that is much crazier than this one, where we talk about gymnastics, and we also burn each other, me and my co-host. So it's a good time. Coach on Command. So if you're interested in learning about coaching, parkour, gymnastics, that sort of stuff, you can check us out. Occasionally we talk about sports cards on there as well.
There you go. Well, hey, once again, a big thanks, Aaron, for joining us in the co-host seat there. Clemente for joining us over in Clemente's world. And for Ruthie for putting everything together here and getting it from our mouths out to your ears every week. And, of course, for sending me picnic bars. And, that's I kind of want another one right now, but I'm going to hold off from that, I think, for a little bit. Our next show will be February 15th. We might have Les Wolf on for that one. Not really sure just yet. We'll see if we can come up with something, get him on if we can for the week. If not, then we'll find something else to talk about, somebody else to talk to, get something put in there. And that about does it for this week's show. Wishing you many happy returns. We will see you next week on TTM Cast.
Everyone, be good.